just how slippery you are. He was talking about how you run with a fire. Where does that fire come from?
Just kind of have been playing football my whole life. I love the game because it's physical, and that's just how I run.
That big catch and run you had for 65 yards, what was going through your mind during that play? Like, how do you keep shedding tacklers, bouncing off guys, and you move your legs?
I don't know. Whatever I see, my body reacts. It's really instinctive. And then sometimes I realize I'm still up, just keep chopping my feet, try to make something out of nothing.
What do you think needs to happen for the run game to be more consistent? It looked like you guys took some steps last week, but what's the next step in the evolution of this run game?
I don't know. In about 20 minutes, we're going to look at the film and see, what we come up with as a group.
Are there particular runs or schemes that you feel like you can be most successful
in? Personally, I like, like the inside, in between the tackle runs, but it's whatever, is comfortable with the coordinator and the lineman.
How do you feel like you and Kenny G kind of complement each other as backs?
Kenny G, he's a great back. I feel like we complement each other very well.
How important is it to establish a running game, not just to pick up those yards on the ground, but also keep the defense honest and like pass protection, things like that? What's the ripple effect, I guess, when you are able to run the ball effectively?
Opens, they stack the box, get one-on-ones on the edge. We got DK, we got a whole bunch of, Calvin, a bunch of, star wide receivers. And so, once they start stacking the box and that happens, then I feel like that's the ripple effect you'd be looking for.
Jaylen, does your mentality in game change at all this year from last year? Used to be kind of the change of pace, and now you're that guy from the jump and kind of the bell cow?
Nah, I just go out and play football. Yeah.
What do you feel like the identity of this offense wants to be, and how close are you guys to achieving that?
Physical, effort, and I feel like we do that. Week 2, got a lot to learn from, and come out week 3, perform.
Broderick was mentioning that maybe part of the issue in the run game is just things aren't gelling yet. Is that something?
Gelling?
Gelling, yeah.
What was that?
Like all coming together, all working in unison.
Yeah. Whatever the answer is, I know we're going to find it.
Coach Tomlin put out there last Tuesday. It sounds easy. So what makes it as hard as it is? The other team or your own technique? What's been the stumbling block there?
I think it's just a combination of, everything. There's just great players in this league, and, it's hard to whoop a grown man's butt, every play, because they're professionals too, and they're, they get paid a lot of money to do the same thing too. So I think for us, it's just getting back to, getting back to work and ensuring the things that we need to.
NFL schemes are obviously a lot more complex than they are in college. How has that adjustment been of learning the playbook, learning all those specific details, and being able to apply that?
Yeah, I think it's been good because I have such a great group that I'm in, with TJ, Alex, and Herbig, and all these guys, and Cam Hayward, and guys who really care about helping us and getting better, so we can get out there and play to our best ability without having to think too much. So that they've helped a lot, and practice is the preparation that we do. Really puts us out there to be able to go out there and play and not think too much.
Do you have a sense yet of how much things are going to ramp up for you with Alex's injury?
I have no idea. Like I just told them, Alex is one of the best players in the league too, and it doesn't change my. I'm just going about every way I can to help this team win. And whenever my number is called, just try to be out there and do my job to the best ability.
How tough are in-game adjustments when you deal with an injury like Alex early in the game and your snap count suddenly goes up and you're more involved maybe than you had initially planned to be?
Yeah, it just falls back to your training. What you've done, leading up to the week, preparing and just kind of always having that mindset of to stay ready to when your number's called to be able to get in there and help the team, and so there is no drop off. For me, that's just kind of how I try to go about it, and that's how I'm going to continue to go about it.
I know TJ hasn't had any sacks so far, but what does he do that really affects what the offense is trying to do? What does he do that maybe doesn't show up in the stat sheet?
Yeah, everything. He might not have a sack yet, but he's getting tripled and quadruple teamed. On my sack, he had 3 guys on him, so I told him thank you. He affects the game in so many ways, even when it might not show up on the stat sheet, because he's the best in the world. So obviously the team that we're playing is going to have a game plan for him, or else he's going to destroy it. For him, he's been affecting the game in so many more ways than the average eye might see. and you know his numbers are going to come. We know that. You know, he's the best in the world.
Let's do two more, guys.
Did you even get to enjoy your first NFL sack, or not so much because of the next play and then the ultimate outcome?
Yeah, I mean, I like, you know, like I said, you know, earlier, just, you know, I would have rather had the win, to be honest with you. You know, I like to win football games, and I think anyone, you know, that plays the sport would agree with that. And but you know, it was fun. It was cool to be able to get the first one off your back. You know, it's kind of, you know, the sigh of relief when you get your first one, and it was exciting. But obviously, you know, it doesn't mean much when you don't get the W.